Hey guys, this is Everything Medical, and today we're going to look at my USMLE Step 2 CK experience and how I was able to get done with this exam in a matter of 3 months. Before we start, can you please hit the subscribe button real quick? It will help me a lot. Moving on, a little background about myself. I am a visa requiring IMG who got done with USMLE Step 1 before starting the preparation for Step 2 CK. There was a 1 year gap between my Step 1 and the start of my CK prep. We're going to look at the materials I used, my timeline, my assessments, and my advice for the people who are taking Step 2 CK before Step 1. So, the materials that I used were just three in number. Since my Step 1, I am a firm believer of less is more principle, which basically suggests that you should use as few resources as possible, because with the increasing number of resources, you start getting confused between different concepts. So the three resources that I used were the UWorld QBank, USMLE First Aid for Step 1, only for Biostat, Pharma, and Micro, Divine Intervention podcasts in my free time. If you haven't taken Step 1 before this, I strongly suggest you to read Master the Boards 2 and 3 books before starting UWorld. My timeline. Here is a brief review of how I divided my time between different phases of my Step 2 CK preparation. My sequence. I prepared for CK during the start of my house job, also known as the internship in India, but I intentionally chose the psychiatry ward as my first rotation because it had a really relaxed schedule and it helped me focus on my preparation. So, if you are thinking of taking the Step 2 CK during your house job or intern year, I would highly advise you to take up the rotations like psychiatry, dermatology, radiology, or pathology because of their relaxed schedule. I started with Jewel in timed Twitter mode and system wise. At first, I only used to do 40 questions at max, but after I was done with half the questions in my first pass, I boosted the number of questions daily to up to 60 questions per day. And towards the end of my first pass, I could easily attempt 80 questions per day. Remember, the number of questions per day is not important. Take as much time as you need to grasp the concepts. Go slow and steady and do not rush it. Keep in mind, doing UWorld in time mode since day one is really important because the question stems in USMLE Step 2 CK are super long and you need to form a habit of quickly glancing through the whole question stem. As I did my UWorld questions, I also used the built-in flashcards feature of UWorld and made almost 1500 flashcards using the copy-paste method because I think that instead of making the exhausting handwritten notes and tiring yourself out, it was better to just copy paste the important stuff from UWorld into the flashcards and read those flashcards instead. I completed the first pass of UWorld in 2 months. Then I spent a whole week going through those flashcards that I made. This revision helped me immensely. Then I switched gears and moved to the second pass of UWorld. In the second pass, I took a leave of absence from my internship and started doing my wrong questions in random mode and made more flashcards. In the night time, before I went to bed, I would listen to the high yield review podcasts of Divine Intervention. It helped me a lot with the new and unusual stuff that's being tested in the exam. I have dropped the link to Divine Intervention podcast in the description. This whole procedure took another 2 weeks. 10 days before the exam, I took my first UWorld self assessment and got 254. At this time, I decided to revise my flashcards once again. I also refreshed my basics by reading the Biostat, Pharma, and Micro chapters from the First Aid for Step 1 book. 2 days before exam, I took UWorld self assessment 2 and it predicted my score as 252, exactly the amount of score that I got in the actual exam. Exam day. The exam had 9 blocks and it was super exhausting. But I took energy drinks with me, and coming out of the exam, I felt like I failed it. But I want you to know that this exam in particular makes you feel like that, and it's totally normal. 4 weeks later, I got my score report with a score of 252. So keep in mind a few things, guys. For people who are taking step 2 CK before step 1, I would highly recommend you to go through the first aid for step 1 book at least twice before starting UWorld, because lots of the test questions are based upon the knowledge of basic subjects. So make sure you've got a solid grip on that. Number 2, if this is your first exam of the USMLE pathway, make sure you read a review book for step 2 CK. My recommendation is to read Master the Boards 2 and 3 books. That's it for today, guys. If you have any questions or you want me to make a video on something, let me know. Important links are in the description box. We also provide tutoring for all medical exams. If you're interested, email is in the description box. Like, share and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.